So what we want to do for this pose is make sure the back body is really strong and the front body is really open. So areas in the body we kind of want to think about: back body, glutes are strong, hamstrings are strong, and the whole really of the back chain. So always think back bends, back line is strong. In order for the back line to be strong, we can then start to open out the front of the body. So hip flexors, they want to be open, chest wants to be open, shoulders open, and wrists. I feel like wrists are an area that we actually forget about, and then we come into wheel and we're like, oh, the wrists aren't warm, so just make sure your wrists are a little bit warm as well, okay? So considering that all of these places are nice and open, then we're ready to take the posture. So couple of like common faults and things that I see in class that we want to just like refine if possible. First thing, you're going to be so bored of me saying this, but the elbows splay out quite a lot. We want to resist that. The more the elbows splay out, the less strength we've got. And if you think about like the body weight pressing into the hands, we really, really want to think about squeezing the elbows in to just help engage the muscles down the side of the body here. All of this contracting is just going to give us a little bit more strength. So you'll be really bored of me saying, hug the elbows in, but just try and get that action for me, okay? So that's the first thing I really want you to concentrate on. Second thing that I kind of see is we have this wonderful, beautiful kind of stacking and stability in bridge pose. And then tendency is when we come into wheel, then we kind of forget about downstairs, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep downstairs exactly the same as bridge. We're just adding in the back bend. I tend to think what happens is when we come into the back bend kind of takes the priority. We forget about the legs. We maybe start to splay the knees out. We lose a little bit of engagement through the feet. So just make sure in your bridge that you're going to stay nice and stable downstairs as you come up into your wheel, okay? And then the other thing, I'm just going to quickly come up and demonstrate the exit. Other thing that I kind of tend to see is just coming out of wheel without much kind of integrity, okay? So I really want you to think out of wheel. You're going to drop the chin towards your chest. You're going to hug the elbows back in and really slowly think one vertebrae at a time. Slowly lower it down. So the exit's really, really controlled. And then when you land on your back, you're just going to stay still. Quite often we want to like draw the knees in towards the chest. We don't really want to do that. We want to just make sure that we have time to neutralize the spine and that the spine can just relax. So you can just close your eyes. Maybe you just come back to bridge. Maybe you kind of come to constructive rest, knocking the knees into touch. Okay, so let's go for it. So set up. Your knees are kind of on top of your ankles there. Don't worry too much. The general gauge is like kind of tickle distance with the feet. Now, just do one bridge for me. Just press into the feet, draw the hips up. Take a moment to just make sure that your glutes are really, really engaged and your hamstrings are on. So really think about the action of pressing down into the heels and dragging your heels back towards your glutes, but they're not moving. And you should feel like your hamstrings and your glutes kind of light up. You'll feel that. Okay, so that's what we're going to just muscle print in the memory and then slowly come back down. From here, bring your fingers. So this is where you'll know if your wrists aren't warm. You're going to bring your fingers and just bring them align with the shoulders there. Now, if you've kind of got tighter shoulders, you just want to play with this. You might take your arms a little bit wider, and also the degree of the fingers might change as well. So just have a little bit of a play with what feels best. Okay, and I'm going to talk you through this before I do it. So I'm going to do this in one breath. Phase one, I'm going to press down into my hands. I'm going to take a big breath in. So inhale, press to the crown of my head. From here, I'm going to re-wrap my elbows in close. I'm going to think elbows are going to squeeze towards my earlobes. Keep that contraction and then press into the mat. On the exhale, I'm going to press up. Okay, so I'm hugging the elbows in. I'm taking a breath in and pressing into my hands. On the crown of my head, I re-wrap. I press the floor. I exhale. Chest goes up and back. From here, I'm going to take a moment, just check that my downstairs is strong and stable. So I'm pressing firmly into my heels, dragging my heels back towards my glutes. And just take a few breaths. Just feel into it. Keep gripping the mat like you would with everything else in yoga. And my chest is going kind of more in a diagonal through the arms rather than up towards the sky. And I always think with back bends, you know when it's time to come out, right? So when you're good and ready to come out, do what I said before. So chin towards the chest, hug the elbows in, slowly, with control, lower yourself down. When you get back onto your mat, take a moment, feel into the energetics in your body, and just let that simmer. Okay, let's see if we can advance this a little bit. So if you feel really comfortable with that, we'll just start to take the next notch up. If you're not, don't worry, just stay exactly where you are, okay? But just looking to advance this a little bit now. So same thing. Inhale, press into the crown of my head. Reestablish that wrap, press into the floor, press up. Okay. So if you feel like, maybe you've been practicing this for a while, you feel quite comfortable, you want to start to think about wiggling your feet a little bit closer together and maybe a little bit further away. Working towards straight legs, but I'm still really pressing down into my feet. So I've still not lost engagement through my legs, but there's just a little bit more length on my back to just press back. Nice. And then to come out of it, just reestablish walking the feet back. And same thing, nice and gently. Roll yourself down. And again, just take some time. Let the spine just neutralize. It's really natural to kind of want to hug your knees in towards your chest or maybe go into a twist, but just see if you can resist that. I always think you're just kind of sending your body the signals that you're good and chilled. Okay, second advancement if you want. It's a little bit more of a step up, but we'll start to work on one leg wheel, okay? It's not as scary as it sounds, I promise. So, same setup, nothing changes. Inhale, crown of the head. Exhale, press up. Then from here, what I like to do is wiggle my left foot in a little bit closer, okay? So I feel like my center of gravity is more in my left foot. Then from here, just think, draw with core engagement, knee towards the chest. From here, maybe stay. Some days I'm happy here. Some days if I feel quite strong, I might extend the right leg. You can play with flexing and pointing. Then slowly with control, draw it back. Right foot down. Now there's always one side that's a little bit more friendly than the other, but just make sure you do try and balance out both. And then same thing with control. We're just slowly coming back down. Take a few breaths here. And just let your spine come back to its natural curve. And just take your right hand to your belly, take your left hand to your heart. Notice your heartbeat. I always think back bends are so nice for just tapping in and reminding ourselves what it feels like to be alive. But also just like really working with our theme this week, just think about the space that you've just created. Yes, physical space, but also see if you can kind of tap that into some emotional space as well. Nice. Nice work, everyone. Okay, just roll yourself over to one side. Gently press yourself up. And that is your wheel breakdown. See you soon. Thank you for practicing with me.